Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, let me move now to the third speaker for this session, which is Professor Gupta, who is the chair of the Dynamic Coalition on Internet and Jobs, Internet Governance Forum, United Nations. He is a leading public policy expert who has been involved in major global initiatives on digital health. He is amongst the top global experts in digital health and a member of the Guidelines Development Group for Digital Health at the World Health Organization. Professor Gupta will in particular highlight his views on the key governance, regulatory and ethical issues that countries should consider in the context of cross-border supply of telehealth. Professor Gupta, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jocelyn. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to people who are watching this. As I move, firstly, I congratulate the World Trade Organization that stands for Universal Trade, and World Health Organization that stands for Universal Health. I think it is very timely and very apt that these two bodies with enormous influence worldwide have come together. And I'm quite confident, that we will realize the goal of equity, equality, and quality in healthcare. And this is a very timely partnership. COVID-19 has reaffirmed that health is not a standalone topic, and the world is more interdependent and connected than ever before. Hence, global governance has enormous significance for the moment of truth that we face as we pass through COVID. And also it defines our call to action for these two convening governance forums. I in my talk is going to walk you through initiatives, developments and scenarios which are very reflective of the three things I'm going to dwell upon: the global governance, regulation, and ethics, and what countries need to do. In my experience, I realized that it is not about each country. I think the world we are living in, this have to be looked from a global lens. So these are real-time, real-life scenarios. The first one, this is a global healthcare provider in a first world country. The moment you go to the web page, it says connect to great healthcare anytime, anywhere by phone, email, video. Travel worry-free whether you are in Japan on business or visiting a national park with family. And they have been doing it for more than a decade. Another experience is the virtual tumor board, hosted by the largest quaternary cancer care in India. So whenever there is a complicated cancer case, the oncosurgeons post the case on the virtual tumor board, they discuss it, and such cases require multidisciplinary continuum of care. So this is a very unique initiative in that sense. So we know last year in November, Germany passed a law to prescribe apps, health apps, and the cost of which will be reimbursed by insurance. The same is in the US, it's happening. So European Union is integrating data across member states for cross-border digital prescription and patient data exchange. We know what Taiwan did when they merged their immigration data with insurance data and what they did to check the cases of COVID and the COVID-related deaths. Same thing has happened very recently in the United States, where they have allowed for, the seamless flow of data across Medicare and Medicaid. So there is another example that happened almost 2 decades ago where a company, started making AIDS drug available for $1 a day for the most vulnerable populations across the world. And the last example, I have been chairing a committee for drafting the digital health standards. And let me tell you that the experience I had is that there is no precedent anywhere in the world for a comprehensive digital health standard. So I had to reach out to US FDA, World Health Organization, NICE, ISFTH board, and other global bodies. The one realization I have is that the standards we define have to be global. It cannot be just country specific because the patients are inbound and they're outbound. Moreover, the softwares we use, the technologies, the medical devices we use are going to be global. So I think all these examples, if you look at what I have presented here, are islands of excellence. But each one of them, like if you look at the global governance, you can relate directly to how a company is offering a service anywhere you go, how people are managing the cases in COVID. If you look at regulation, we are talking of providing telehealth and telehealth services across the countries. Like my earlier speaker, Professor Bibiki, talked about East African nations with borders being very, feeding borders. So if you look at the medical ethics part, making drugs available to the populations that need, and the movement of data during COVID. And imagine if these examples were, available freely across the world, how better we would have managed the current pandemic. Now, this brings me to the next point about what do we do as nations as we pass through COVID and beyond. So there are certain issues, and my experience is this is though national, but they have to be taken at a global level. And that's where the role of global governance organizations that the World Health Organization, the World Trade Organization, and even ITU become paramount. So the first thing I want to touch upon is that universal digital healthcare is the precondition for healthcare, universal health coverage. And this is what I've been saying, and I repeat again, that without digital health, neither you can have universal, neither you can have healthcare, neither you can have coverage. So should we aim at having a digital health for all as a global governance goal, in which we keep going beyond what WHO says, providing the best of healthcare irrespective of the ability to pay. We also add a line irrespective of the place where you stay. So I think one of the things we need to aim at is providing digital health for all by 2030. And I take you back to the Alma Ata Declaration in 1978, 42 years ago. We've still not achieved universal health coverage. The very interesting part that was put there was primary care as the way to health for all. I think it's time for us to reorient and add to that digital health as the pathway for healthcare for all. That's the first one. The second one I would say is let's declare decade 2020-2030 as a digital health decade. This will ensure that digital health is not only embedded in the design of health systems, but also becomes the default building block across the world. The third important thing is to come out with a dynamic atlas for digital health, which looks at all countries in terms of leadership, governance, financing, implementation, and impact of digital health programs, and sharing best practices. So the islands of excellence that you saw in the previous slide are available and can be scaled up globally. This is about governance. Now let me come to regulation. See, while in India, we will be putting our digital health standards in public domain over the next 2-3 weeks, but this is not going to be enough. We need such frameworks across the world. If you're talking of movement of health professionals, if you're talking of providing telehealth services, we cannot be doing, I think what India is doing or what any other small country is doing is not going to be enough. So what we need to do is probably such convening organizations like WHO, WTO to come forward and draft, the digital health guidelines and standards. So when WHO does something, it has a multiplier effect. I am witness to what happened last year. The global digital health guidelines have been a big boost from WHO last year. And I think such things can, push the adoption of technology in health. The second important thing is about the regulations. So even within the nation, the regulations are not aligned. So within my country, provinces or states have to have a clinician registered, licensed to practice. Most of the countries you will have this, the provincial regulations are independent. You need to follow that and comply to that. Now, what we need to do from a regulation perspective is we need to map and synchronize the provincial regulation to national and to the international. This is something, a task that probably global governance bodies need to take. And the important thing in the next one is redefining medical practice. So if you look at medical practice, remote consultation and teleconsults are still not considered an integral part of medical practice. So therefore, they are not allowed or approved for doing this consult. So what we need to do is to keep the current developments and realities in perspective, and the regulations should ensure that medical practice, including digital health, is an important part of medical curriculum. The next important, I think one of my colleague from Africa shared about the M-Pesa. You will realize that transferring money abroad is a major hassle. So if you're talking of cross-border movement of people and of services, we probably need to create a dedicated payment gateway for digital health so that there are not many hassles as they happen today. And the last thing, we knew that, a very important speaker, we were having an issue with network. We also need to have a clinical grade network, which means the latency has to be low. And that is where I see a big role of ITU. So these three organizations in terms of governance, regulation, and ethics will flow in. So my last points on ethics. So one of the things, because we're talking of digital health, and as you can see on the ethics, the first thing is break the glass door policy. In times of COVID, we have seen that how nations that used the data and merged it were able to manage their caseload and even the death rate low. So I think we need to come out with a global framework of this policy where in case of emergencies like pandemics or disasters, we need to allow the movement of data of medical data. And the next thing we need to consider is, should we make the medical data a public good? And that's a consideration that we need to probably look at doing at the global level. And the next important thing is, even if we have all this in place, how do I know that my provider is a genuine provider? So one side, we need to have national registries. On the other side, we need to map them with international registries. So as nations, we need to work it globally as a governance model. And lastly, which we have seen, in case of medicines and vaccines that we need to define a formulary and maintain buffer stock of essential medicines across regions for emergencies and disasters. Well, this joint initiative of talk series, I'm confident, will follow also a series of actions. And post-COVID, the world will look at every multilateral body on its contribution on putting the world back on its feet. So what appears as to be a crisis of perception today will become a crisis of relevance if we don't act now. I do hope that multilateral bodies like the World Health Organization, the World Trade Organization will work not just as a catalyst or a convener, but take the stewardship role to initiate, coordinate, and harmonize to ensure clarity, coordination, reciprocity, and self-regulation for attaining digital health for all by 2030. My last point, let's not forget, global governance today has a new meaning, and it is about shared responsibilities and global solidarity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Gupta, for this very clear presentation and statement, in particular on what your views are about the roles of international organizations as a complement to the development of national policies. And I think we can already see here in what we've heard in these three first presentations, the links that may exist or that exist in certain areas between health and trade policy when it comes to telehealth services, and in particular the role for collaboration between international agencies. Now, but